and was an acute anemic. But he promised me that I was going to only be gone for 2 weeks. So now I got to convince the band that I'm only be gone for 2 weeks, and I'll be right back. Or they cried when I said that I was going to Israel, but nevertheless, we made the adjustment. I found somebody to replace me for 2 weeks, as I thought. So on the 1st of May, let me back up just a little bit because you have to hear this portion. In April of 1968, Dr. King had a speech where he said that, God had allowed him to go up to the mountaintop. And he looked over and he seen the promised land. But he might not get there with them but we as a people. Now, the thing that you have to listen at is that if I hadn't had to find somebody to replace me in the band, the day he was assassinated, the day he made that speech, we would have been in the land. But being that I had to find somebody to replace me in the band, he made the speech on the 3rd or the 4th of April. On the 1st of May, and the 2nd we arrived at Ben Gurion. Less than a month, you understand? So that means that when he said he allowed me to go up and I've looked over and seen the promised land, I might not get there with you, but we as a people shall get to the promised land. Just like he said it 28 days later, we walked through Ben Gurion, our spiritual leader and myself. So his son came up to see, because he had to come up to see himself. And I don't know if you showed him the center there where we started back in the back school of the prophets back there.
We just came straight here.
Anyway, that's another story.
Right.
But what happened is that when he had that speech, we said that wasn't a speech. He prophesied. He saw what was going to happen, and he saw that the people was a people. And they did exactly what he said. So with you sitting here now, our spiritual leader had a vision that it was time for us to leave America on our way back to Israel to establish the long-awaited kingdom of Yah. So what you are sitting here testifying and witnessing, why? Because we prepared this, that one day that we knew that you all had to come because we came. Right. And whatever it was that brought me here, brought you here. Mm-hmm. You might not be able to go back and tell nobody exactly what you saw, because when you do, they're not going to believe you. Mm-hmm. Because they don't believe us, and we have spent 47 years doing this. So what I'm saying here today is, with all our heart, soul, and mind, and with everything that Yah has taught us to pass on to each and every one of you, we do it with all our heart, soul, and might. We love the life we live, and we live the life we love. So that there's a mutual understanding between us and Yah. I dedicated myself when I was a kid, and I found out that I was a Hebrew, and I found out that I was not just a nigga on the street just growing up, nothing and a nobody, because I always asked the question, how do black men be born into the world and leave out the world, and nobody never know that they came into the world? Mm-hmm. So when I found out I was a Hebrew, it gave me something to live for, fight for, and love for. So what you see here is love. We built it with our spiritual leader. He taught us every day, never left us. And where we ate, he ate. Where we slept, he slept. Now, one of the things that in the 28th chapter and the 68th verse of Deuteronomy, and it says that, and no man shall buy you. One of the things that you have to remember, that you must be redeemed. You understand? You can't be bought. There's no money that can pay for what you've learned today. You understand? You must be redeemed in order to pick up the spirit that you picked up right now. Can't be bought with money. It's free. And the way you get it, that if it's in your heart, I can't give it to you if it's not there. But if it's in your heart, you're going to come. You see? Why? Because when my father-in-law said, heaven is our home, it's because y'all promised it to us. He promised it to our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And if that blood is running in your veins, you will come. And not only that, you will be here and be taught, and you will go back and teach other people. How do I know? Because that's what we've done. See, and I sit here to bear witness that that's the process that must be done. So, once again, I'm just going to not take any more of your time, because my son was as well qualified to say all the things that I would like to say, and that I'm not a speaker and I don't, talk like that. But once again, I just want to thank you, and thank you for coming down, because it lets us know that our prayers haven't gone unanswered.
Yes. Prince, before you leave, before you clap, before you leave, people came down here to hear one word about Tel Arad. It's the community. Is the community coming up to pray at the house of God? That's what they want to hear. They want to hear.
One of the things that you see, of course, I told him a long time ago. I said, "Now listen." When he first come to Tel Arad, I said, "What they did? What they gave you? What?" I said, "They'll be back." Tel Arad, when we first went to Arad, and I've been in Arad for going on 48 years. And we used to go to Tel Arad when it's been in different hands. And when you stand on the hill there in Tel Arad, it seems like what he made this song say, seemed like I can see forevermore standing on the hill of Tel Arad. It's just so vast that you can look, and it just look like the land just lays out in front of you in Tel Arad. So if you want to meditate, it's a good place to go and meditate. If you want to take tourists, it's well documented that the ancient Canaanites, when the Israelites was coming up out of Egypt, the ancient Canaanites came out and refused to allow them to pass through their borders. And the Israelites said a prayer, said, "Yah, if you give them into our hands, we will destroy." And they did, but they didn't live up to what they said. And so Tel Arad has been there laying quietly until the Hebrew Israelites, or the Judites, it's the inheritance of Judah. And so that when you come back, it's just part of your inheritance. You understand? So that when you go there, pray there, sing there, dance there, because that is part of your national inheritance and right. So that's, that's what I want to say about Tel Arad, because I've been going to Tel Arad. Matter of fact, I used to take people to Tel Arad all the time, because when we stand on the hill up there, I can just point out like one of our speakers. You see, out there is what you call expanded terrain. It looks like it's just right there, but that's 20 or 30 miles away. And so when we take it out, that's the way we explain it. And when you sit there, I had our spiritual leader say, look out there, son, tell me what you see there. And one of the young fellows looked out the window and said, I see green hills. And I see rivers down at the bottom of the hill. And I see children playing on the hill. And he said, if the Spirit hadn't revealed that to you, when you look out there, all you see is hills and rocks. So when you go there, based on what kind of spirit you go in, what you're going to see. You understand? Spiritually, what you go there to see, if you don't see it, it's not my fault or his fault or his fault. If you don't see it, it's your fault because you didn't go there in the proper spirit to see what you went there to see. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to my son, and thank you for allowing me to be your unexpected surprise host. And wish you a safe, holy, and prosperous journey here in the Promised Land. And when you get back to where you came from, is that one thing, remember, that if you love the land, you soon will learn that the land will love you in return. Shalom Aleichem.
Wow. So, Lamadia.